Hello, welcome back to another video on how to use writing for learning in your own content area classroom. If you haven't already watched the first video, I will put it in the cards up there so you can go ahead and watch my first 5 tips. This is a continuation of that video so that it wouldn't be too long in one sitting, because I know you have a lot of things going on, a lot of things on your plate this time of year as teachers. But this is the last 5 tips of the 10 that I'm giving you on integrating writing into content area subjects. So I'm going to go ahead and get started without any more discussion. Here's tip number 6.
All right, strategy 18 on page 22 is blogs. This is a fun one if you have students that are very creative. You know what a blog is. It's just a tool that you can communicate ideas from many different sources and content areas. Blogging is going to be collaborative in a classroom. So you're going to have students come up with a topic that they're interested in. You might give them some guidelines. It can be about anything in this realm, but pick something that you're passionate about that's somewhat related to that, and make sure that they can explain to you how it's related to the thing that you want them to focus on. So this really allows students to personalize their learning because they're choosing the topic that they're going to blog on, but you are setting the guidelines for what it needs to be part of. So for example, if I am doing a project, a blog project, and we're learning about biomes, you could say to students, you can blog on any of the animals in any of the biomes that we're learning about. But you need to make sure that when you talk about it, you discuss the things that animals need to live in that particular biome and be specific in your details so that I can tell that you know what that biome is like. So that's just one example, but it can be even a broader thing than that. You decide for your particular subject area what's going to work for you. In math, this could be done with, how is math being used in everyday life to improve the way that we're living? So students could find articles and current events and research things that are happening with math right now. For example, the math that's needed to get us to Mars. Some students are going to find that fascinating. Students are always saying, like, when am I ever going to use this in math? This is a great way for them to do a project and research how they're going to use different things, how are these things used in everyday life, and really make that subject relevant to your students. So there are a couple of sites that you can use. One of them is www.blogger.com. Another one that I would recommend is Canva. Let me go to a Canva site and I will show you what I mean. I talked to you about Canva in my vocabulary video. If you didn't watch that one, I'll put it up in the cards and you can go ahead and watch it. It's a great video on reinforcing vocabulary in your content area. But if you go to Canva, there's paid and then there's free stuff. There's so much free stuff. There's no reason why your students would need to worry about any of the paid stuff. But if it's free, the template will be blank in the corner. But if it's a paid one that's only for pro, it'll have a little crown on it. So let me show you an example. If you go to Canva and you want to use it for a blog, I would type in education infographics. And then you're going to get all of these templates that you could use as a great format to start a blog page. They could use the same one each time and just transfer out different information, or they could pick different ones. And it depends on their subject as to which one's going to work the best for what they're doing. But if you look, you can see these do not have anything. Wait, that one does. This one doesn't have anything in the corner, but this one has a little crown. That crown, if you hover over it, it says pro. That's something you have to pay for. But this one is free. This one is free. This one is free. Wait, that might not be free. Yeah, that one's free. There's so many free ones that you don't need to pay for the subscription. Make sure you tell students that They don't want to enter any personal information, no phone numbers, no addresses, nothing that's going to give away where they live. Anything that's out there on the web, you want to be super careful with your students. And I would even, if you're going to use this and you have young students, I would let your parents know that you're using it and the purpose that you're using it for, and give them an opportunity to ask questions and say, if you have any concerns, just please call me. You could even have something in your welcome packet that said, I use Canva, or all the sites that you use that you might need parent permission for. Please sign off on any of these. If you have questions about any of them, please give me a call. And then the parent signs at the bottom, and then you're home free. Another one that students need permission for at this age is Padlet. If they're in middle school, if they were like 13 or under, they need permission for Padlet, which is something I just recently discovered when I presented at a conference. I should have known that because I should have read the fine print, but I didn't see it and no one told me. So I was using it with my students before, not knowing that I needed my parents to give permission. So something that you can think about at the beginning of the year. What are all the technology sites that you might use for blogging, for project making, different things like that, that you might require parent permission for? And then just think about how you're going to pose it to your parents so that they'll understand the need for it. Of course, they can always do it the old-fashioned way. You can have them make, paper blogs, brochures, whatever, print out pictures. There's always that, but it's good when we can combine technology, and this is a great way to use it so that students are able to work on their technology skills, learn about your topic further, delve into something they're interested in. And like I said, it's a great way to personalize learning. All right, moving on. We are on page 35 now, and we're going to talk about Fishbone Maps. Let's go to page 35. Okay, I talked to you in a previous video about text structures, but Fishbone Maps are a good way of organizing details if you're doing any kind of a cause and effect passage. Cause and effect is one of the nonfiction text structures that you'll want to directly teach to your students, no matter what subject area you are working in, because you can find cause and effect relationships in any topic. So in science, there are so many cause and effect relationships. Obviously, experiments, you do this and this happens, right? What causes the water cycle? That's a cause and effect relationship. What causes rain? What causes snow? What causes this type of cloud, this type of cloud? What do high pressure systems cause? That's just an example in weather, right? We have tons of them in all the different areas. What happens when we heat a solid? What happens when we heat a liquid? What happens when we cool things off? So if you are doing anything with a cause and effect relationship, you can have students do a fishbone map. This can be on paper. This can be on an infographic. You could find one. You can also do layouts that are sideways instead of up and down if you like. You can play with the layout. There's a fishbone diagram in Canva, and it's one of the free ones. Okay, so what you're doing is you're putting the causes in these boxes, and then you're putting the effect over here. So okay, let me give you an example, not in my topic area. In my colleague next door in his class, he has to do all the causes of the Revolutionary War, right? So here, the Revolutionary War started. Here are all the things that caused it, and they would have to be detailed about those, right? But you don't have to do a fishbone one. You can do other cause and effect ones. So when I typed in education, infographics, cause and effect, besides a fishbone map, here are some other ones that came up, okay? So this one is earthquakes, cause and effect, but just know that anything that's here, you can change the graphics, you can change the title, you can change the directions, okay? So you've got cause, effect, and you have multiple effects from the same cause, right? Or you could do multiple causes and multiple effects. There are a lot of different options for you. This is also a free one. All right, so you've got, this one's about the sugar problem. This is global warming. Wildfires. Here's another fishbone one. That's not a free one though. Pollution in the environment. So obviously these are focused, a lot of the ones you see here are focused on science, but it does not have to be focused on science, and you can change any of these topics. You can change anything that's on these. That's just a template for you to get started. This one is about health. So here's what happens. To maintain good dental health here and oral health, here are some things you can do. So the effect is good oral health, and then here are all the causes, right? So look around, see what you can find that will go with your subject area. But I've talked about that one too long now. So let me move on to another topic. Page 37, number 10. This is a cloze activity. A cloze activity is simply a passage where you have deleted strategic words. And what you normally are going to do is pick something that goes with the vocabulary in your topic that you're learning. This is a good activity to do as either a pre-assessment, or I think it's an even better post-assessment. So after you have taught a topic, then you can give students a passage and you can have them figure out what do they think goes in where the deleted words are. It's a really great opportunity for you to check students' learning, to find out areas that you might need to go back and reteach in a different format or with a different type of product. Maybe that particular way of teaching didn't work for some of your students, but it worked for others. You're going to find that out by giving them a cloze activity. Okay, so let me show you an example of what this looks like. Here's an example of a cloze activity for computer science. Okay, now this one has a word bank, so it makes it a little bit easier, but you don't have to give a word bank in order to do a cloze activity. So this is how to assemble a computer. So you could take that word bank off if you wanted, but it says a computer is made up of a case which houses several important blank components and provides places to connect the blank components. So then you've got all of these blanks and students have to figure out what goes in the blanks. So what you might do is you might just have them work in pairs, or you might have them work individually and not give them the word bank at all first. And then find out which ones they're struggling with and then pull the word bank out, project it on your computer and have them fill in the rest of the blanks that they didn't already have. So like I said, it's a good way to check student understanding, find out what you need to do next to reinforce what you've just taught. All right, we are almost done. We have 2 more strategies to go over. So page 38, number 14, talking drawings. All right, so this is a great one to help students visualize what they're reading about, especially if they're reading a difficult passage or if they're reading something that they're not super interested in. It can keep them on track, keep them comprehending and thinking about the text. You might hear English teachers say, make a movie in your head as you're reading, right? We want students to visualize the topic. If they're not visualizing, then they're just word calling, they're just reading, they're not making any sense of what they're reading. So students that can read well, as in they can say the words out loud correctly, but yet their comprehension scores and their testing scores are lower, could be for a couple reasons. It could be they don't understand the vocabulary words, or it could be that they simply aren't attending to the meaning. This one is good for having students make sure they're attending to the meaning, and it develops that skill. So it's a good scaffold for that. You're going to select your topic, have the students look at the article, and as they are reading whatever it is that you're having them read for a passage, they're going to work on the drawing activity sheet, which I will link down below and I'll show you in just a minute. Ask students to close their eyes and think about the topic for 1 to 2 minutes and have them draw a picture of what they saw while they were thinking about the topic. So then you're going to teach a lesson that accompanies the reading. So that's like a preview, right? You can teach the lesson or you can have them read the article. At the end of the lesson, have them look at their first drawing and change anything that maybe their preconceived notions about the topic were not quite right. Have them change their drawing, to include, so either add things or delete things that were wrong, add things to refine what they learned, to show what they have learned. Students need to share with partners their before and after drawings, and that way they can have some collaboration and some partner talk about what's going on. This is also a good one to do that. If you've ever seen the Think, Pair, Share, where you start off with 2 people, and then the 2 go to another group and become 4 and talk about it together. Then the 4 go to another 4 and become 8. This is a good one for that, for them to share their drawings and what they came up with. And each time they talk about it, they might add some more ideas because they get tired of saying the same thing, right? And just really develops their communication skills. And like I said, it develops their comprehension of the text. All right, last tip for today about integrating writing, but I could go on and on because this is such a powerful tool to use in your classroom to help students comprehend and remember. But number 19 in the itty bitty book on page 40, it's called Mnemonics. If you have ever used mnemonics, you know how powerful they are. A mnemonic is simply a tool to help students remember facts, rules, processes for doing things, steps. This is a scaffolding technique. So when you have a lot to remember, it's helpful if students can find little like clues that are going to jumpstart their memory. It's sort of a way of helping them store a lot of material in an organized fashion in their brain and have these keywords that help them open up the files where they have stored that information when it's time to answer questions or apply the material. So determine what they need to remember. Depending on the information, you might want to teach students different ways of remembering. And then here are some types of mnemonic devices they can use. They can use an acronym. That's that simple poem where they come up with a memorable word that helps them remember everything in the topic. For example, you might have learned a very entertaining mother just served us 9 pizzas, right? For the order of the planets, and the first letter of each word is the first letter of each planet. Since most of us remember the names of the planets, but we don't remember the order that they're in, that helps you to remember by knowing the first letter, and it gives you that little boost that you need. So if you are a music person, you know that you can learn the letter names of the lines in your staff based on these mnemonic devices as well. So you may have some sort of experience with this in another topic. There are a lot of these for math, but if students make up the mnemonic device, they're more likely to remember it. I tried this with vocabulary. I had students come up with chants to help them remember their vocabulary words, and they loved it. Of course, this was a 6th grade class I was doing it with, and they are enthusiastic. They like things like that. So you know, some students aren't going to want to be as like physical about it. They wouldn't want to do like a cheer or a chant or a little like song or something. But if you just ask them to do like a silly way to remember it and write it on paper, that's a little bit less like, it's requiring less outgoing tendencies from your students than doing it the other way. So think about your students that you have in that class that you want to use this with, and which way do you think they would best respond to this? So you got your acronyms, you got imagery, which is remembering a picture. Having them come up with a picture to help them remember something is a great strategy. And then looking at that picture over and over again to key their memory. Rhyming things, so coming up with raps, coming up with rhymes, poems, whatever, to help them remember is a good strategy. And songs. I like to use, let me show you, Mr. Parr's songs. They are kind of like, you know how sometimes things are awful, but at the same time, like memorable, like some commercials are that way. You can't get them out of your head and you wish you could. So he has all of these different things, songs that go to songs that you would recognize, but they're about all these different topics that I have to teach. So I use his stuff, and I'm not going to play one now because I don't know if it will turn out very well. Plus, not sure if YouTube will block that or not. It might be like considered copyrighted because he comes up with these songs himself. But these are spoofs of popular songs that they have changed the words. But also, like, there's an Alfred Wegener song that is so funny for Continental Drift. This one right here. If you teach science, this one, Continental Drift, Alfred Wegener song by the Amoeba People, is so funny. So here's one if you teach 6th grade social studies. Hold on. I got to think about it. Make sure I can find it. Here it is. This one is about ancient Egypt. It's by Sing Kids. There's another one out there. This isn't even the one that I'm thinking of. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's this one, but someone took a copy of a copy, so it's not going to come out very well. There are a lot of different songs for different things that you might be teaching as mnemonic devices. Have fun in your classroom. That's the main thing. All of these different strategies, not only do they allow for opportunity for students to write to learn, but they allow opportunity for students to have fun talking to each other, have fun having, learning ways that they can remember things better. And when they experience better grades as a result of them, they're going to buy into the strategies and they're going to want to use them more and more in your classroom. I hope these tips have helped you no matter what subject you teach. Like I said, I apply this from a science perspective, but really all subjects can use these. And I will link everything down below so you can find some more strategies. Maybe if none of the ones that I shared with you are helpful, you'll find some other ones in the itty bitty book. I know you will. Everybody, thanks for tuning in here. And thanks for your patience with me in the little debacle of everything not taping last night. I appreciate it. But as you know, I'm still learning. I continue to learn and grow every day, as I hope you do too. No matter what you're doing or where you are today, I hope that you are happy. And don't forget to work hard, be kind, and amazing things will happen. Bye-bye.